Live from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. This is your motivational, sensational, inspirational, educational, aspirational, international, keenly awaited, daily created, highly anticipated edition of the Afternoon Swing Trading Floor with your humble host, Jeremy Alexander Newsom, with another daily dose of mentally delicious brain food, reminding each of you to love life, live life, and trade it. What's going on, team, from around the world? Hope you're all doing amazing and wonderful and electrifyingly awesome. Today is Tech Giant Tuesday. I did not actually place any day trades today. I did exit some swing trades, though, for pretty much break even, just to kind of remove some risk as we approach the end of the month. So, the end of the month is it's time to start locking in gains, locking in some small losses if you need to, get them off the books and get everything ready to go for April, because April is just right around the corner. Today was a really fun day for day trading. I personally feel like it was easy, it was simple, it was fun. Man, Clive says, got my algo trade ideas up and running. Can't wait all day. I know. Super great class last night. We have another one that starts in 2 hours, so be prepared for that. It's going to be really fun. Yes, so the SPY today did actually gap up, and we talked about that yesterday. Talked about if it gapped up and if it gapped down. And here was a really fun trade on the SPY. So, the first few minutes, you probably had to go bullish, right? It's just very, very beautiful gap. Here's your pre-market, and the pre-market just right at market open just broke that resistance and kept on running higher. You had the bullish S curve that came in before market open. So here's some curvatures right here, and just a really, really good gap. This is where all the newbies got in bullish, right? They waited for that high of the day break. That's when the SPY was up like 1.2%. So on a bullish retest gap, on a breakout, with the SPY being up 1.2%, never a good time to be getting into the trade bullish, because at that point you've already missed it, right? So if anything, you had to get in down here and exit right here. So at the high of the day on the SPY, you have yourself a tweezer top. Perfect tweezer top. 282.18, 282.18. It is straight up legit. So really, really good candle pattern there. And obviously, once it started breaking down Evening Star, you probably were looking for a bearish trade, most likely. And it broke down for really the next few hours, trade down into some support, and then slowly started bouncing. So it filled the gap, right? It was a retest gap, and we retested, we bounced. From here, am I going to be surprised to see us go higher? Nope. Am I going to be surprised to see us go lower? Nope. Pretty much the exact same analysis as yesterday, honestly, with this particular candle. So similar analysis. If it gaps up initially, let it run, then fade it down, then play the bounce. Very, very similar. Depends on where it gaps down. If it does gap down, if it opens below the low of today, I'd be a little bit more bearish on shorting it. But if it just gaps down, into that support, it'd probably be another buying opportunity. But yeah, as far as the SPY goes, weekly options newsletter coming out today. We'll be looking at what trade that will be, but I don't think it's going to be on the SPY. At this particular point in time, SPY just kind of hanging out, chopping around, trading sideways, doing its thing. Here's the Qs. And the Qs today also had a really nice gap. Again, they did close up 0.47%. So that's a nice move. And today really was a solid bullish gap. I don't want to downplay that at all. So I really like the move from today, this little gap up this morning. So if we do continue, I'm all for that. All for it, for us to continue higher. IWM got a cute little gap up. The Dow Jones, right, got a cute little gap up. So I like the gap today. It's, again, very indecisive candle today specifically, but the overall trend is still bullish. Looking for the bullish trades out there. Looking for also, we have some bearish trades out there. So we have a good blend. So if the market rolls over, maybe we'll make some money. And if the market starts surging higher, maybe we'll make some money. But we have a decent blend on both. We'll be looking at a lot of good trades today. Pretty pumped about it. Let's dive in. This is the list for today. And before I dive directly into those, let me talk about the two trades that I got out of today. And I messaged everyone about these two. So I exited HanesBrands today because the market was gapping up. It was a really strong move. We were profitable. We were relatively close to the target yesterday. And although this could easily go lower, it could easily go higher. And it was one of those situations where, because I had to close another trade, which I'll share with you in just a second, had to close that trade. Since I closed it, my overall thought process was, since I lost on one trade, let me try to win a little bit of that back on another trade. And that was pretty much the whole thought process on that. That, and here's your weekly chart, and we did have some good pullbacks. You can see we actually hit the 20 EMA last week. We had 4 bearish candles in a row. So my thought was it would gap down, probably trade higher. Eventually could roll down, and you're welcome to hold on to those puts if you still have them. But again, the reason I exited is because I had to exit this guy, which is Ollie's Bargain Outlet, OLLI. So I got out of this one. It does look like it's gapping down very small. Very, very small. Just came out with some earnings. Yeah. So it's going to open pretty much flat, it seems. I'll put on the list for tomorrow morning. Let's see. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? So Wednesday morning, OLLI, just to watch it, to see what it does. But I did get out of Ollie's pretty much at market open this morning where that blue arrow is. That was a bearish swing trade that we were in. Didn't want to hold over earnings. It didn't break down. So exited Ollie's Bargain Outlet. And that's why I exited HanesBrands, to kind of just cover those losses. Didn't fully cover it, so I was down like 0.19 hours on the day, something like that. So a very, very small losing day. And, keep an eye on this one, see what it does, see what the broader markets do. But those are the two swing trade updates on those particular trades. We can continue diving into a few others, though. So here's the trade journal. Let's go to the current swing trades. And ACB. So I had a lot of people request ACB, and I actually still like it. It's just hanging out. Cute little candle today. Inside candle, inside the really good, strong bullish day of yesterday. So if this bad boy ends up popping and getting above the high of these candles, we get a close above there, this trade should just slowly keep grinding higher on ACB. So Aurora Cannabis, that's a trade that a few people are still in, still looks pretty good. We will see if it gets up to 1154. It may or may not, right? Especially as we get closer and closer to expiration. If you do have those April calls, if you have shares, obviously shares don't expire. So you can be a lot more patient with those. But that's ACB. And next on the list, we have Cree. So this one, as bullish as the market is, I am kind of surprised that this stock is not really giving us a lot of love. So you had a pretty decent bullish day out there in the market, and Cree actually ended down 0.99%. Had a little bit of a gap up this morning. Here's the 5-minute chart, and this would have been a beautiful day trade to play bullish, although obviously, as you can see, it did not go higher. But this candle, entry would have been there, stop would have been there. Absolutely gorgeous setup on Cree. Very pretty. Would not have triggered, and nothing really happened. So I'm going to keep my stop at 54.11 for the time being, since right now it is below the 20. The market is relatively bullish, and I'm just kind of hoping this one comes back to life, because that really was a beautiful setup, and this would be lame if it turned out to be a loser. I do like today's lower shadow, though. So Cree, we will keep an eye on it and see what it does. Again, if the market goes higher, that one should kind of follow suit. AMD. So this is one that we were looking at getting into some call options on as far as the weekly options newsletter from last week. So again, it got pretty close, but sometimes close is not the same as actually happening. So that particular setup on AMD, we can cancel it, and there will be another weekly options newsletter that comes out later today. It might be AMD again on a pullback with just a little bit of a different number, maybe a different option. So AMD is going to be high on the list because I just like the trend. I also really like NVIDIA to continue higher. I might just post an option setup on NVIDIA for everybody, but AMD, potential pullback. We can cancel this exact setup, the one that we had earlier, to get in at $1.35. So that's AMD. And here was a bearish swing trade. So MGM actually did kind of go lower today. So it made a lower low, it made a lower high, it kind of retested. Again, all of the moving averages on the daily were below them. We're below the 10 and the 20 on the weekly chart. You're below the long term, which is the 200 simple on the weekly. You're below the 100 simple on the daily. So there's a lot of moving averages that might press this lower. And that's really all that we're doing on MGM, just to see if this trend kind of slowly continues lower. That's pretty much it. So if you turn on the hourly chart, here's kind of what the hourly chart looks like with the moving averages. And, again, we're below all of those. So it certainly could and very well might retest some on MGM, but we are up on that one at the exact moment in time. So that's MGM, AMD. Here's ticker symbol WP, and WP is decently strong today. So today's candle had really decent volume. So what I wanted to do on this one I wanted it to be a fade, meaning actually to end up filling this gap. I'm still kind of surprised that it's not fading. Here's the weekly chart on World Play, and this stock since December is up 52%, which is a massive move. It's a retest gap on a weekly chart. It's a retest gap on a daily chart, but it still looks strong. So what I'm going to do on this one, based on today's volume, it's pretty bullish realistically, is if WP does not close below the low of today by end of day Friday, I'll look to exit. So I'll take the L on World Play if it does not continue to kind of fade that gap, because today's volume, definitely a warning signal for me that says this could go a little bit higher. And the hourly chart also looks decently strong. So this is one that I was really just trying to fade based on how far up this thing has moved, and that really, really puny candle that came in yesterday. Very puny. So the risk reward is actually pretty good. If it breaks down and comes into this gap, it could easily get a 1-to-2 risk reward ratio. So we'll see. It's Tuesday. I'll give it 2-3 more days, and we will see what World Play does for the bearish move. But again, if the market does just continue to run higher, that probably will run higher as well. Same thing with iRobot. We're flat on iRobot. So IRBT, we are pancake flat at this exact moment in time. So far, it's following Mr. Squiggles almost exactly. So I can't be specifically upset about that movement, because I did draw that exact movement on iRobot. And yeah, we're in flat. So if the market does pull back a little bit tomorrow or show some rest, then some of these bear trades might work out. If the market starts surging tomorrow, some of the bear trades might not work out, but some of the bull trades might. So it's going to be one of those just interesting times in the market where you have these cool little setups where maybe some work, maybe some don't. But we have plenty of opportunities to go look at a few more setups. This one, I was kind of sad didn't trigger today. KEG. So KEG did not trigger. I was hoping with that shaved bottom candle yesterday that would actually gap down a little bit. But this thing closed up 11% today. Really nice little move there. And I guess I'll leave this trade open until tomorrow. And depending on what it does tomorrow, since tomorrow is Energy Wednesday, if we don't get any kind of good fills or nice moves on KEG by tomorrow, we'll either cancel it, update it, change it, or something. Okay, that's it. Let's go dive into some new trades and see if there's anything else out there for us. Acacia Communications, ACIA. This bad boy has been straight up flying. This looks like a very pretty accumulation pattern that occurred. You have the stock that broke its IPO low right here. So broke its IPO low and since then has slowly been grinding higher. So you're above all the moving averages on the weekly. We're above all the moving averages on the daily. You had a decent gap up on earnings. It actually did retest. You had a beautiful one white soldier candle that came in on the March 11th. That would have been a good entry signal. I actually like Acacia long here with shares or some longer term options. I think could be viable. Looking at it on the long terms on the weekly, I mean, you're above the 100 on the weekly. You're above the 100 and 200 really nicely. So this one just looks like a nice trend. Really just cute little grind session that we're having on Acacia. And I'd like to see that just go higher. Hourly chart looks pretty. Now, the thing is, obviously, this looks pretty much exactly like just the broader markets. Bearish candle yesterday, these little spin top candles. So normally, if I'm doing some swing trades, I like to look for something that's just a little bit different than the market. But as far as the trend on the daily chart, this one does look different than the daily chart's trend. And yeah, longer term, this one looks pretty. If I can get at some particular point in time a pullback into like 47 or so on Acacia, that's where I'll be really, really interested in buying some longer term positions, potentially. Don't know if we'll ever get down there, but I can easily wait for a chance and see what happens on Acacia. Mark says it is 100% higher since breaking that IPO low. Nice. Nice. Okay, so good bullish trend on Acacia. Always fun to find nice little bullish trends. Han Solo, ticker symbol SOLO. This is one that a lot of people were up in arms about in a big way when this gap occurred on March the 20th. But it was a retest gap. So you had to figure that we would retest, and we are. That is what's occurring right now. So it seems to me that this one might want to come back down into the 50. If it doesn't, we could get a pretty cute little setup that looks something like this. Where if it throws in like a little bit of a lower shadow tomorrow and doesn't quite hit the 50, I wouldn't be terrified on playing this trade. Yep. So that one's going to be a strong possibility. We're going to look at this one tomorrow, and we're also going to look at it Thursday. So Solo, we're keeping our eyes on SOLO for the bullish trade. Spy says, why would we be interested in Solo when it's not trending? Most specifically, I mean, this little move right here that we got, we want to keep an eye on it just in case it does start breaking out because you had a massive surge of volume over the last few days. So right now you are absolutely correct. It is trending down. But based on the volume that came in, this is one that could surprise some people with a nice, strong little pop. Most likely it won't. So this is, the first day, and then it gapped up and traded right back down. And this was, the kind of like the cumulative 2-3 day move, and it's just going to trade right back down. So if it doesn't start bouncing, we'll just cut the cord. But based on volume, this is one that I think is at least worth keeping our eyes on because it's not a super expensive stock. And if it does really start breaking out, it could be fun. Spy says, aren't there so many better candidates to trade than Solo? Absolutely. Fully 100% agree. That's why we're not in it. Just watching it, keep an eye on it. We'll see if it does anything. And if it doesn't, we will move on. And if it does, then we may or may not trade it. But if you don't want to, my friend, by no means do you have to. SYNE. Was this? Did I type in something wrong? SYNE. STNE. Yes. Thanks, Spice. Spice is the mind reader today. I love it. So STNE. This one, also some volume coming in over the last few days. Look at this trend. So talk about trending stock, man. STNE is straight up bullish. This looks like some type of wave 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, good volume. So what I would like to see on this one, obviously, is some kind of pullback. You realistically got the pullback either 2 or 3 days ago over here. So, this is the hourly chart. So, we pulled back nicely, got a gorgeous gap on the 21st. So, that was the time that we would want to get in if we're going to get in. If it can pull back to that level, that's where I'd like to try it. 39.51 by like 36.91, something like that. So again, the 10 EMA is at 38.56. 20 EMA is at 35. You did have a bullish gap and go today, and it is definitely up there, but the volume is strong, trend is strong. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stoneco Limited is just rocking. Software technology company. No idea what this one does. No clue. But I need to probably start looking into it. One for good trader point for Spice. Reading my mind. 5 p.m. Eastern each day. It's on right now. Okay. So anyway, let's put this one on our list for tomorrow as well. STNE. And just see what it does. Again, good volume, good trends. Earnings are over. And let's see what we got. Okay. Next on the list is JD.com. So JD having a little bit of a bounce today. And this one actually did occur with increased volume relative to yesterday. Mike Ramsey was looking at this trade on JD. A few other traders looking at this trade on JD. It does seem that we might want to just try to catch a pullback on JD.com. Because, again, the daily chart, the trend looks great. Weekly chart, we kind of recovered a little bit above the 200. We did have a retest gap today. I like the fact that the volume increased today. I will take this off right now because Falco knows that he's in, but it clutters the particular setup a little bit. So since the volume increased today, what I want to do is hop into the hourly chart and just see what this thing looks like, because to me it looks like it could pull back a little bit more, but that's a nice tight little pennant pattern on JD.com. It's a nice little setup for a pop. Chief is waiting for a pullback. Yep. See, if I go back to the moving averages, I mean, the stop would just be right below the 20. 28.52 by 27.32. This, I think I will investigate for a weekly options newsletter trade. If we don't do that for a weekly options newsletter trade, we'll look at it again tomorrow and see if we can just do it for a regular old swing trade. But the trend looks nice on JD, and you got the pullback. You got a nice, really nice pullback yesterday, as it had a black candle gapping into the 20, and today it made a higher high and a higher low with increased volume. So, looks cute. And again, the weekly moving averages, we know the 50 is kind of in the way. Diego says, are you in JD? Yes. So I have Leap on JD, January 2020, that we were in forever ago. So it's been holding through that Leap, man. Buying protective puts against it and selling calls against it ever so often. So, yep, January 2020, $33 call option. If you're not in that and you want to be, still looks like a decent spot to buy. JD.com, during the hedging with options program, was one that I leaned on very hard back in February as a huge contender for a massive bullish trade, because it took out its IPO low right here. Made new IPO low, had a bearish retest gap, and is like the third or fourth biggest e-commerce company in the world. JD.com is straight up massive. So I thought $20 was a steal, and yeah, good move. So that's my thoughts on JD. I like it to slowly peel higher. Okay, next on the list is COUP. And COUP, Coupa Software. This is the weekly chart, strong weekly chart. Here's the daily. Daily. Wow, this is another one that is just putting in work. Wow. Man, oh man, this is. I wish that wick today went below the 50. That'd be fun. I feel like some people would be trapped on that one. Look at this trend. Jeez. I mean, it's a strong trend. And here's the thing, we can't discount the fact that it did retest over here. So boom, boom. There's the retest of that previous high. Coupa Software. And you do have a new white soldier candle today. Kind of a cute little gap up, a little bit of an upper shadow. Let's watch this one for the next day or so and just see if it continues. Because again, it does look a little bit like the rest of the market, and the market can easily go up. This one has some small differences, but at the present moment, I kind of like it for a little bit of a bullish trend continuation. We already have a nice follow-up list for tomorrow, COUP. Next on the list is IRDM. Another communications company. Wow, look at the trend on this thing. Man, March has just been on fire. March has been a great month for trades. I mean, look at this thing. You have a bearish candle with a shaved top on earnings. The very next day, you get a close above the high of that candle. I mean, who's not buying at 22.50? The high of that bearish candle. 22.50 by 1986. I guess I'm like 2 weeks too late on that one. Look at this. Wow. Diego says the CEO was on Kramer a couple of days or weeks ago. Good for him. I mean, that was a nice move. You know what I'm going to do? Based on these candles and today's candle, I'm going to put this one on my list for a day trade tomorrow. Because if it gaps up again, even if it's a small gap, like if it gaps up 27.39 or 27.80, I like the fact that today's candle gapped above the high of yesterday. I'm going to put this one. Yeah, I'm going to put it on the swing trade list too. If it gaps up here, I'm going to look for something like this and this. Okay, so IRDM. We're going to look at that again tomorrow as well. So looking at this one, I mean, I really like the overall trend. I like the gap up today. I think that could, ironically enough, could continue. Maybe get 1 or 2 more days of a retest, but man. Oh. Okay. IRDM, nice one. So this is an interesting stock. CFMS, fundamentally an interesting company. This is one of those that I actually forgot about, talking about the NASDAQ not allowing a stock to IPO and go to zero. This thing came about as close as it could have. This thing IPO'd and went straight up to 40 cents. So this stock was a $23 company, $24 company, not massively a long time ago. And some volume is coming in, folks. Serious volume starting to come in. That's a good thing. You're above all the moving averages on the weekly chart, the short-term moving averages. You're above the 100 on a weekly chart. The daily chart, you're obviously above everything. Now, I don't want to buy at this exact price, right? I don't want to buy like right here. I mean, even just getting above the high of this candle would have been beautiful. But CFMS, I mean, pretty much once this candle would have come in on March 13th, which again, I did not take this trade, but there's your double bottom, right? You get a white candle gapping up. That's your retest gap, strong bullish trend. You already had the volume over here that was like, yeah, we're going higher. And once this candle comes in, I mean, you had to get in above the high of that candle with a stop below there. Would have been a setup. I probably would have had another setup to get in with a pullback right there. So if I didn't get it on a pullback and then this candle closed, I would have had to do a limit buy. And I might have missed that trade by about 20 cents. High of this candle is $1.39. I probably would have put it at $1.40. I might have missed that by a penny. Because, yeah, I would have put my entry, if I didn't get filled on this day, I would have set a pullback to get in at $1.40. I would have missed it by a penny. Oh, that would have been brutal. So CFMS, I just want a little bit more of a pullback. Spy says, would you still be long in this trade? I would have sold on this day. If I was in bullish and we gapped up, what was that, 20%, I would have sold at open. Yes, we gapped up 14%. Would have sold, and then, it came back down. So here's what I would kind of like this to do, is it probably does this, a bunch of people buy, and then it probably trades right back down and gives us another shot at it. I think we'll have a chance at this one at some point, but another one to start putting on your list, folks. Stock that's trying to return back from the dead, maybe. So we'll put that on the list for Friday. See what she starts to do. But CFMS looking pretty. INS, Intelligent Systems, another one. Look at the volume on this thing. Volume came in yesterday, and I think this. Look at this weekly chart. Wow, man. There are some extensions up there in the markets. Beautiful candle pattern down here on the 8th of March. Very, very pretty. Nice little double bottom, close above the neckline, volume increased, inside candle with a shaved top. I mean, your entry is right above the high of this candle, and your stop is below the low of that white candle. That is a magical trade. Strong volume. Again, I'd have to wait for a little bit of a pullback. I couldn't get in at this exact moment in time. I don't know what this stock does, but this thing is running. Plus, check this out. Look at this nice resistance breakout right here. Again, I didn't see that, but that's the breakout from this really, really big level. So Intelligent Systems Corporation is making its move. From its 2000 all-time high breakout. Huh. Okay, I'll put that on the list for Friday, and we'll just see if we can get a pullback on that one at some point. Next on the list, FTCH. So this is a swing trade that I got out of, and of course it bounces today. Again, per my setup, I would have gotten stopped out most likely on this day right here. I think my setup was 90 cents. So I would have gotten stopped out, I believe, on this day anyway. I was looking at this trade for a bearish trade, and obviously it didn't go bearish. With as much volume that was coming in, I had to exit more or less just because of my plan. Once we got triggered in and it wasn't working and the market was going higher and this wasn't working higher, I would have gotten stopped out for a full 0.9R loss or a full 1R loss anyway. Even though it did this was a perfect trap. Perfect trapping candle. I did not see this as a day trade today. I did not see. Would I have been able to play this one? Let me go check. Ooh, probably not. No, I think I would have given up on this one over here. Well, Farfetch Limited. You know what I can do is I can try to get that R back tomorrow. Who's with me? FTCH. I'm going to watch this one and see if it gaps up and continues. Even if we don't swing trade this one, we can still keep our eyes peeled for day trades on our swing trade list. And we have a massive amount of volume coming. That's why I was kind of annoyed that it didn't go higher. But it makes sense that this candle would just trap everyone who got in bullish there, had their stop at 25.89 or 25.82. This candle making sure everyone stopped out and then it bounces. Yeah, makes sense. That's what would have happened to me because I had my stop too tight. That's 2 this month, bro. That and EA had EA too tight as well. Tim says, I have to run so I can make it back by 7. Yes, sir. Speaking of Electronic Arts, I wanted to wait one more day for this one. And I'm glad I did because I like this setup a little bit better. Electronic Arts. 102.67 by 99.67, so it's a $3 stop. You did gap up today. Volume looks pretty good. I think that stops below the 10. So it's below the 10, but what I'm trying to figure out is, will this stock trade back down to the 50 again and bounce? Interesting. So all 3 of these are bearish. This is a bullish trade. I'd like to maybe have one more bullish setup. I do like this trade on the hourly chart. What I'm going to do is we're going to see how it opens tomorrow, because if it gaps up, I think it'll fade down into the 50. We can get this about another $1 cheaper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the list for tomorrow morning, and I'll come back, swing trade, and I will let everyone know in Slack if I end up making this trade official. It's really going to depend how it opens. If it gaps down tomorrow, I can make that official, pretty much no problem. So if we gap down to here, like 101.50, I'd like it to trade higher than breakout. But yeah, keep an eye on EA Games for a bullish move. Okay, let's go look at JLL. And JLL, this was a bearish trade that we're looking at, and I think I have enough bearish positions. So I'm just going to cancel this one and move on. Because again, right now, I mean, we have some bearish trades. So if the market does roll over, I don't think we're going to be despondent and miss out on everything. So I can keep waiting on JLL. All right, CETV. I liked this one. Weekly chart. Yep. So it's gapping up. Long-term moving averages. So the 100's there. How much do we respect the 100? A little bit of a cheap stock. If we took a trade into here, I mean, we could still exit the 10th right here just in case. That'd be like half an R. Because we'd be able to pick up some serious shares on this one. I do like the gap. It is taking out a nice big bearish volume candle over here on the 26th of February, and it trapped everyone who might have shorted or sold to open that day. Let me log into the hourly chart, and I'm trying to figure out if I need to wait to get in that high. Because if I wait to get in that high, I need to get in above 387. Or if I could just sink it down and get in at 380 and then lower my stop some, and that would make the risk reward better. Wow, this is almost like a swing trade stop or a day trade. 380 by 365, 15 cents of risk. Wow. I will say I will watch that for a day trade, and probably about it. I mean, that's 15 cents is a pretty tight stop for a swing trade. Not that it can't work. It's just going to be really aggressive for an official trade. I'd hate for that to like trigger someone in and then everyone get triggered in and then get stopped out within like a second or something because this being a weird trade. I'm going to watch this on the daily chart intraday and see if we can catch something on this team. CETV. If you want to play it, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure you have a good risk tolerance and you're really comfortable with your risk and your setups and all that good stuff. But that would be a pretty aggressive little trade on CETV. Decent gap up though, and volume is really not that bad, but 200,000 shares on average. We'll come back and look at that. I'll look at that tomorrow morning. So Apple today, good old Apple. So again, my overall thoughts, I think you all know my thoughts. I think we pull back maybe a little bit more. The 10 EMA acted as a great support today. My buddy Scott McKay has a put sale at 185 expiring this Friday. So it's Tuesday. And I'm more or less just waiting for a little bit more selling to come in on Apple to do a pretty prime pickup of some shares, maybe around 175, if that happens. But I actually like today's candle. I like the fact that it pulled into the 10, and I kind of think tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a bullish day on Apple. Is it already gapping up? Wow, already gapping up. Nice. Yeah, I'd be watching for the bulls, or if you want to sell some puts on Apple that have a decent tight expiration and stuff like that, I mean, that's also totally fine. Let's go look at that. Where's that 200? 190. So it's going to battle that 200 for a little bit, but I think bull put spreads or put sales or waiting for some share ownership is probably the way to go on Apple. Love it long term from here, and very bullish on Apple. After some rest, after some pullbacks. Okay, Facebook. So Bob has a put sale at 130. My buddy Jeff Hansen is looking at a 175, 177.50 bear call spread up here on Facebook. And Facebook is just going to continue to grind sideways. I know there's some people that have some shares and some leaps on Facebook, and they're just kind of selling covered calls, waiting and being patient. Because, again, this was a massive gap up on Facebook back here on the 30th. 30th to 31st, huge gap up on Facebook. And really, it's just going to trade sideways for a bit longer. Here's the weekly 100, and it keeps hitting the 100 simple at 167.97. Trading sideways. I do love Bob's put sale. The moving averages also look good, and I am under no illusion that I think Facebook goes higher eventually, but it's just going to take a little bit of time. This weekly candle, I mean, I'll go ahead and put a note. Just based on volume alone, if this week's candle closes above the high of last week's candle, I do think Facebook returns to the $200 level this year. And this is one that I mentioned. I said if Facebook gaps up largely on earnings, I think that the markets will actually make new all-time highs this year. So I also said that. And I still think that is adequately possible. So Facebook on the weekly. I love the battle of the 100 SMA on the weekly and 200 SMA on the daily. Eventually, Facebook will grind higher. I love the volume coming in. Buy dips and hold. That's pretty much what I got. So for those of you who have some positions in Facebook, that is my thoughts. So we'll see if it closes up there today. Sorry, not today, this week. Certainly possible. Okay. So Facebook, again, overall, I think that one is it's going to be a cute little slow grind higher. Next on the list is Google and then Amazon. So Google had a nice pullback at one point today and gave a lot of people some opportunities to buy the dip or get into some bull put spreads if you can find some premium. Just depends on where you're looking. But yeah, a little bit of volume picked up on Google today. A decent candle close. Today's candle did actually close below the low of yesterday. Yep. We closed below the low of yesterday on Google with increasing volume. We did come down to the 20. And Google tomorrow will either bounce or go lower. Yeah, that's going to happen tomorrow. It's either going to, if it breaks or gaps, if it gaps down below the low of today, I mean, I might even trade that bearish myself tomorrow morning. Google bearish question mark. So if we gap down like here, well, 1178 or something. I'm not saying we will, I'm just saying if. I'll probably look to short for a day trade and then, let it trade down into some support and then buy the dip. I'm by no means bearish on Google long term or anything like that. It's just, we're getting a little bit up there. And that's the crazy part is Google has almost returned to its all-time high area. And my target for the end of the year is 1453, which I'm not saying it's going to hit there this year. It could. But by 2020, 2021, most likely they'll get there. That slow grind higher. Any questions so far? All right, next on the list, here's Amazon, ticker symbol AMZN. And this is the daily chart on Amazon. And you had a really interesting gap today. So today was an interesting gap on Amazon. I loved the open. I really did. I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful move. But the challenge was it was just so extended. Right? I mean, the broader markets, right? The Qs are up 1%. The SPY was up 1%. Amazon was up, 1.5%. So it's like, how much higher is it really going to go after having a bullish day yesterday and only a pullback of one day? So here's the 5-minute chart, and this was just a beautiful trap. One I would have never played personally to get in bullish here. This is just the S curve. So here's your perfect pre-market high breakout. So if you're going to get into Amazon bullish today, it's pretty much right at open or on this pullback candle right here. And then you're selling when it makes a new high. And the reason you're selling is because, again, it is a bullish retest gap with the market up massive. So the market was up huge. And then I got skipped on this breakdown on Amazon late in the day. So just skipped right over me. That was the breakdown of this support. Very easy support to see. The open of this candle, the open of this candle, the support from all these candles, that support, that support, that support. So just got skipped right over. That would have been a really nice breakdown. All right. So that's what I got on Amazon. As far as what next, I mean, really the pullback was yesterday. So if you got in on the pullback yesterday, congrats. I think the market probably keeps going higher. I don't really see why not. So we talked about on the 21st, obviously very, very, very bullish. Tons of white candles in a row. You're going to get some selling. There's the selling into the 10. We have a little bit of a gap up today. Today's candle is just such a nice candle out there in the markets. It's a great candle for either a bearish rollover or a beautiful bullish continuation, and either one is possible. So if you're in bullish on Amazon, I think just stay in bullish on Amazon. Alibaba, hanging out. Baba, I like much better on a pullback. Back down to about 167. Baba's made some strong moves, guys. Baba is straight up there. So I'd like to see this one pull back to 168 before I trade it bullish. Not like on a day trade or something. Or I mean, you could obviously do put sales or bull put spreads, something like that. But I do agree. This is a beautiful Morningstar reversal. And if we gap up tomorrow morning on Baba, just run bullish. Right? Get in, ride it out. But if we don't gap up above the highs of those candles tomorrow and we pull back down into about 167 at some point in time, that would be a nice buying spot on BABA. Netflix. So Netflix, we talked about this one yesterday, and I mentioned that I wanted a little bit more of a pullback, and I think we might be getting it. We will see. The line in the sand on Netflix, I mean, is right here. If we close below 356.21, we're going to go a little bit lower. And I don't know if that's going to happen. It very well may, but it doesn't have to. I would actually say if Netflix breaks above here tomorrow, that would be kind of like my bullish day trade breakout level. It's about 362. So with this candle today, again, in the broader markets, I could easily see the markets recovering. I mean, had a nice gap this morning, so it doesn't shock me that we sold off. But from here, you know, we have a big bullish day, a little bit of a gap down, a continuation higher on Netflix. Great. If we close below 356.21, all I'm saying at that point is I would just like it to come back down to 340-ish, and that's where I would look to buy some form of a dip on Netflix, as I was talking about yesterday. Micron Technology is doing pretty much just jack squat. You have an inside day candle on Micron today. This is actually a bearish wicked pair candle. So I would be really interested to see how MU is going to open tomorrow. Gap down or a gap up. Right now it's going to be stuck in between the long-term moving averages. And I'm in this super collar on MU expiring in April. And when April comes, I most likely will just turn around and start selling some $50 May or June covered calls and just let this kind of keep slowly grinding sideways. Right now, we're battling the 100 simple on a weekly chart. So in my opinion, Micron is very sideways, and the only thing I can see on it is some day trades. Blake tried to go long today on MU, and I actually do like that attempt. It traded into a good support level and traded down and just didn't really bounce. So if it doesn't work today, that's fine. Feel free to watch MU tomorrow for a bullish pop on an intraday level. Okay. We have a few left. NVIDIA, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the stocks I'm most bullish on. I'm very bullish on NVIDIA. It looks entirely different than the broader markets. It's breaking out of this triangle. If you have any bullishness at all tomorrow, like we gap up inside candle, I think it's just going to keep going. This particular trade is the one that most people are in on NVIDIA. $200 long call for June. And you can sell a 250 short call for June, and it's going to be more than a 360 debit now, but not a lot more. I like that trade. I think NVIDIA is going to continue higher. Give this one some time, but I am 93.8% positive that NVIDIA eventually gets to 200 this year. Hopefully it happens by June, but with earnings in May, I mean, just a slow grind. We broke out of the triangle pattern. You're above all the moving averages. Volume looks wonderful. Today was a great gap on NVIDIA. You had some good gaps back here. I mean, I think it's just going to continue up. So any bullishness again tomorrow on NVIDIA, I would just say just lock in some longer-term calls, be patient, see what she does. PGNX. Very sideways right now, hitting the 100 on the daily chart, weekly chart. I mean, I'd have to look at this one fundamentally to see if it's doing anything. There is some really strong support down here, but in the past, in order for this thing to bounce at this $4 level, it took months. So if you're looking at buying PGNX down at this particular location, I agree, could be forming this double bottom right here. So that is possible. The daily chart, you're going to have to contend with the 100 simple. You do have a little bit of a bullish gap up today with kind of a decent amount of volume. So if you're looking at getting in and wanting to get in above the high of this candle, that does make sense. But just know that this thing is in an accumulation area, and it's going to chop around and grind sideways for a while, most likely. And the big signal that you would look for to indicate a strong bullish pop out of here would be a close above the 100 simple moving average. Log me in, LOGM. So this is one that we played bullish not too long ago, and it did not work out. And then it actually gapped up a little bit today after throwing in some lower shadows. I mean, I do think log me in is the buying zone. So this is the weekly chart. You're obviously at some really strong support. If you were looking at playing a trade bullish, it does look a little different than the market. LOGM could be one. We could look to play this again. We played it once. We lost on it, but I wouldn't mind giving it a second shot at all. So let me just set it up, draw out what I would like it to do, and I'll come back and look at this one tomorrow. And we'll see if we end up playing LOGM. This might be like a 2 to 3 month trade, which is why I'm not falling in love with it for a swing. But maybe we can pick up some shares and get an R and a half, 2 Rs, and move on. But yeah, LOGM looks a little bit bigger, longer term, but I will put on the list. And 2 left. Whatever the heck this company is, folks, is breaking out. DCAR, after one of those reverse split situations with all that volume coming in. So the reason I'm bringing this one up is because it's up 52% today. And most likely needs a little bit of a pullback. But this is one that we could start watching for maybe a quick little move. If it gaps up big tomorrow, there will be no shares to short. But if it does start breaking down and pulling back, I can easily consider going long, even if it's just for a day or two. Drop car, some volume coming in on that one. A big breakout today. Feel free to keep your eyes on it. And last but not least, MasterCard looking exactly identical to the broader markets in a way. Obviously, this trend is majestically strong. The weekly chart, straight up Crushville, and the daily time, and this is the hourly time frame. You have a high over here on the hourly chart of 234. This was like a pre-market high. So what I would like to see this do is break above that level, pull back down, and then that's where I would look to get in. So I'd want MasterCard to go up to about 234, and then once it goes up to 234, I'd look to buy it at about 231.50 with a stop at 227.50. And if that doesn't work, then you try to buy it at 227 and have a stop down here about 225. But again, it's very similar to just the broader markets. I mean, really, really strong bullish trend right now, and everyone's just wondering when we get a little bit of a pullback. And I'm kind of wondering the same thing. That's why we have some bearish swings. We also have some bullish swings. We're pretty neutral. At least I am. I'm ready for whatever to happen. And that's what I got, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow is Energy Wednesday. What beautiful thing would you all like to look at tomorrow? Here's what I got so far on the list. SRPT. What else is there? TROX, CRZO, IRDM, GLDD. GLDD? Is that a stock? Yes, it is. Okay. GLDD, Monster, Stamps, Datcam, CPRX, ENPH, MYTSOLO, ARLO, USA, PLUG, JDCOUP. Got a nice list. USO, COUP, Log Me In, CPK, and DCAR and Netflix. CVX, got it. Perfect. Sounds good. I'll be here. Thank you so much, everyone. And until then, love life, live life, and trade it. I'll see most of you in about 54 minutes. Bye.